Okay, so what am I? I guess I'm cutting that out, huh? I could. It's a good idea. Um, so hey, what's up? It's Rev Doctor Funk. This isn't a Let's Play video. Um, it's today we're gonna start talking about Green Day stuff, and today's topic is Nimrod. No, it's not. It's Uno. Oh God, that was awful. Anyways, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna review Uno a few days after it came out and stuff. So I could take some time to form my opinions and look at the album from a pretty, like a fan point of perspective, but one that isn't. Hey, it's Green Day, and one that's more like, okay, yeah, let's look at this. Let's look at this back and front a little bit more. But yeah, Uno might be the only Green Day release that I've experienced thus far that hasn't been a total game changer for me. American Idiot spurred the direction of my music and Ask Me Next Week, and 21st Century Breakdown was a long-awaited sequel that basically greatly impacted the way I made music. So, yeah, both of those two albums were very important in my life and very much affected the way that my life was going at the time. But, it's been 3 years. I'm not in a band now. It's not like the next big Green Day album is like the next year of covers for us or anything like that, because I'm not in a band right now. So it's a lot more casual, So like 21st Century Breakdown is like, dude, all these songs they're going to be so like, let's cover them all. So there was no pressure. There's nothing to it. And that's kind of how Uno as a whole is. It's kind of the same way that the Green Day is right now. After like the freaking rock opera that was 21st Century Breakdown, Uno is, it's no mystery, a more laid back, punky, fun album. And no one's like, everyone and their mother reviewing this CD will tell you it's Green Day taking a step back from rock operas in favor of like, more classic-y punk things, which is good. I mean, everyone knows that. Every review says that it's, it's pretty basic, that they've gone back to some more like punchy type stuff. More bits. But anyways, yeah, I mean, and most reviews agree that this is a pretty freaking good album. I mean, baseline is, it's good, it's fun, and I agree with that. The thing about Uno that makes it a joy for me is that it doesn't entirely abandon the tones and the sound and some of the scale of 21st Century Breakdown. You can still hear like the wider range of Billy's voice and like the fuller sound of the guitars, especially since now they credit Jason White, and like some like little bits of like bigger production from that. Obviously, it's much different, and it's Rob Cavallo instead of Butch Vig, which seems to mean something to some people, but that's pretty lovely for me because, I liked how big 21st Century Breakdown was, and I liked that there was a little bit more, like there was a little more variety. It was a little more complex, which is nice. But I mean, bottom line is, it was a good album. What it isn't, however, is a super awesome, spectacular album. I mean, granted, like I said before, the context is completely different, but, I didn't react to it the same way that 21st Century Breakdown did. I mean, and there certainly wasn't as much build-up for me. Like, I didn't pay attention to all the interviews and shit, all that, like, for this one. I guess because there wasn't all that pressure to enjoy something, I guess. But it's, let's just get all of the, the reasons why it's not the best fucking thing I've ever heard, out of the way first, and then I can, gush or whatever later on. First off, I had far too many occurrences of deja vu listening to this album for the first time. A lot of that's different now. Like a lot of songs just have elements of other Green Day songs in them, almost pulled directly from other songs, and it was something we noticed in the preview shows last year. So it makes sense that they're kind of still there, because why would Green Day change a whole song? Maybe it's just because I've listened to so much Green Day in the past, 7-8 years? But And like I just have like I was I was thinking earlier today, like I just must have this Green Day center of my brain where I can pick out, Green Day vocals and chord progressions, because I mean, in some songs I could predict the chord or vocal progression before it even happened. Like I knew it was gonna happen in the song before it did, and that's just totally like Twilight Zone shit. Like whoa, it means that they didn't take too many risks. Like, it means they really stuck to what they know and didn't mix it up too much, which is a little bit disappointing. I mean, you can't expect them to. I mean, especially with a fan base that's like, go back to Dookie. Ugh. But, like, I'm still doing double takes during Carpe Diem's chorus, where you can sing, like, the chorus to suffocate, like, right over it, and it fits in with the beat. And even worse is when you sing, what is it? Carpe diem, a battle cry, whiskey shots and cheap cigarettes. That's my new favorite. Just started doing today. The other thing that this album has a terrible issue with is its choruses. We noticed it in Oh Love, and we noticed it in Let Yourself Go, and in Kill the DJ, and in just like I don't know what it was with this album, but like a whole lot of the songs, and I mean a whole lot of the songs, had just repetitive choruses, like the same line over and over again. Last gang in town. Yeah, that's what it used to be called. Rusty James has that issue. It's just like the same two lines. Kill the DJ is a atrocious example of it. Let Yourself Go is, and that's really the only thing that brings that song down. Troublemaker does it, and it just happens on a lot of songs, and it's weird. Like if it happened on a few songs, I wouldn't notice it, but it's a big trend on this album, and that's really freaking annoying. Also, Troublemaker, fucking Troublemaker. Maybe this song at one point will at some point grow on me, but this is largely the one I glaze over when I'm listening to Uno. Other than the solo, which I get personal nostalgia from, dude, it sounded like a solo from a song I wrote, I just can't justify this song being on the album. It's not upbeat or focused or anything, and the vocals are just kind of lazy. It features a repetitive chorus, obviously, and it's, that's not exciting. But most grating for me is that it's pretty much got the same riff as Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, only done in a far less exciting manner. It never really picks up at any point. It's just like, oh, I know you're the Foxborough Hot Tubs. Now give me fuck time. Which, is on dose. But, at least the solo is delicious, and I do love the line that can't call me straight because I'm bent out of shape. I like that one. But other than that, it's just like, dude, this song is just kind of like meh. And granted, this morning I was walking around with it stuck in my head. It's catchy, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. It's just not as exciting as the rest of the album, and it's just like, okay, whatever. You made a song based around hay and some catchy claps. That's great. I read a comment somewhere on the internet saying that this album is top-heavy, meaning the first half is better than the second, and I think that's accurate. I thought the first 6 songs on this album are much better than the last 6. They feel bigger and more variegated. It helps that bloody 4 of them are bloody singles. Which brings me to the singles, as their choices now actually make sense. The songs that got picked to be singles were picked because they're largely least like typical Green Day songs. Kill the DJ is the most experimental thing on the album with its, wavy alternative guitars. Let Yourself Go has so much raw energy that if you said no to it, it'd deck you in the schnoz. And Stay the Night is just far too pretty, especially with that spiffy new bridge. Oh, and then there's Oh Love, which makes everything make sense. It comes after Rusty James, which is, one of my favorite songs of the album, despite it suffering from the repetitive chorus syndrome. And it sounds like the parts of Before the Lobotomy that Carpe Diem didn't get. I went there. Whereas most of the other songs on Uno feel like someone pumping themselves up, just like Billy Joe said, Oh Love is the point where if there was some youngin' that was the main character of this album, you could take him to be the same teenage kid from Angel Blue. He'd take a minute outside wherever the metaphorical party was happening to say, hey, wait a second. Seriously, real talk. Bro level. Bro fucking level. Honestly. Let me get something meaningful out of this. And love seems like a pretty damn good thing. Pretty meaningful thing. It makes sense in its placement on the album as the last one, and as a single, since it's kind of a step back from the excitement of the rest of the album, bar Troublemaker. It's like they actually did sneak a little plot and some theatrics in there. And that's what makes Oh Love lovely, is that it's a little bit different from the rest of the album. So, even though I fangirled about Oh Love when it first came out and then was kind of like meh, Oh Love is kind of like repetitive and kind of boring, it's a lot better on the album. And I do find myself singing it aloud every time it comes on. Speaking of bro level, I do like how this album manages to encapsulate most of Green Day's past work in small ways. It really feels like they've drawn from their entire history to make this album, and that's one of the things that make it so much fun. If haters or nostalgites just took a second to listen to the whole album, they'd be hard-pressed not to find anything they like. It's something I'm looking forward to tracking with the next two releases. Now, the question is, could Green have gotten away with just releasing Uno and being done with it for another 3 years? Well, I don't think we can answer that until Dos and Trey come out. But based on Uno alone, I'd say maybe. It's a fairly satisfying album with a beginning and an end and a nice batch of tunes. I think that the reason we're getting so much of the whole culmination deal is because they can spread their songs over 3 albums. Let's face it, a song like Hearts Collide would have made one of these 3 albums if they were done 3 years ago. Actually, Hearts Collide could have been number 8 on this album and would have fit right in. It's exciting. It's nice. Anyone else notice that? Anyway, like I said, more on the wholeness of this trilogy when the rest comes out. Alright, so favorites. While no song really made me gush like a giddy schoolgirl while listening to Mechanical Rhythm for the first time, there are a few songs I enjoy. Let Yourself Go is irrevocably fun and easily has the most energy out of all the songs. It's like, it just demands your attention. Like you want to say, oh yeah, my favorites fell for... No, Let Yourself Go has more energy. Fuck you. Like, that's just how it is. I mean, it's got the repetitive chorus thing going on, and that makes it, annoying to sing along to. But, it's, it's so energetic and punch you in the face and, just ratting someone out. It's very nice. Fell For You is sweet and simple, and definitely just a lovely love song. I need to stop saying lovely. Though I'm not a fan of the second line. The one about piss to bed. I don't know why it was necessary. I guess because it rhymes? I don't know. That's a weird lyrical choice. Teenage me would have loved the bejesus out of that song along with Angel Blue, which is kind of the same idea except more upbeat. And I like the riff to that one too. Stay the Night is the more adult version of those songs, and the harmonies of the chorus are just jizz. I really like the verses in Nuclear Family since you don't hear about merry-go-rounds and Ferris wheels and songs very much. And they're cool things. They go around, I also love the funk and experimentation in Kill the DJ. It's nice, but no gushing, so that's probably... Since in the last 3 years, my music of choice has shifted to shit with orchestras. And that's another thing to consider when listening to Uno. This is my first rock album that I've bought all year, except for Metric or something at the beginning. So I'm really kind of whole jaded from the thing. But I think that gives me a little bit better view on the album because, I'm not running off of, this Green Day high and stuff. Uno is a good album. But, okay, I might say it's a great album. In fact, yeah, I'll go ahead and say it's a great album. But the thing is, I don't feel like we can accurately judge Uno yet until Dos and Trey are out completing the package that Green Day had for us, So, in some ways, it's kind of unfair to be reviewing Uno. But as an album itself, it's good. It's, very, very upbeat, refreshingly rocky from all the fucking Indian alternative that's been going around. It's got a little grit to it. And I like that. Maybe a little bit less grit than some of the older Green Day albums, but still got some grit. But again, it's just a great album. It's not spectacular. It's not changing my life. I don't have to piss my pants with the awesomeness of any of the songs. But again, that's because I'm used to friggin', Latin choruses and stuff nowadays. But yeah, I think it's a good album. And I think there are definitely some talking points, how do you feel about the repetitive chorus syndrome that seems to plague this album? And do you think it'll come up over Dos and Trey? What other points on this album did you feel like you were listening to another Green Day song or another song by another band? I think some of those points are definitely something to be considered, and there are definitely flaws in Uno's design. But other than that, it's just having fun. A lot of it's having fun, and a lot of the effect of, wow, I've heard this before, goes away a little bit with subsequent listens as each song takes on a little bit more of their own personality. But sometimes you just can't get away from the fact that, Carpe Diem sounds a lot like other songs. And I like Carpe Diem. I really do. It's just that I was, I like Carpe Diem and I like Suffocate. And I like Before the Lobotomy. And it's just weird that they're all kind of in the same thing there. Still, I plan to follow the themes of, Green Day culminating everything in this album and make an album, 3 albums. I guess they don't really consider it one album, but in the 3 albums as a whole and stuff like that. I plan to follow those themes that seem to be present here in Uno and see how the sound expands and stays consistent on Dose and subsequently Trey. I think it'll be interesting because, 3 albums isn't something we're used to. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that we won't get to see with a single album release. And I think analyzing that will be massively fun. And that's why I'm doing it. So I'm doing it. So that's Uno. Good album. Makes me very excited for Dose. Much more than I was. And that's a great thing about the trilogy is that, you can jump on board anytime. Anytime you want to jump on board, it's like, hey, there's 2 more albums coming out. So if you're just jumping on board, jump on board. That was redundant. But yeah, I'm excited for Dose and I'm excited for Trey, especially because of the aforementioned themes that I've discovered on Uno. So let me know what you think. I've already asked all the questions, so I guess I should just shut up now and let you go listen to it again for the 50th time, or 120 if some of you more Fanny fans there are working on that sort of thing. So that's Uno. Do I give it a number score? 8 out of 10 maybe? I don't know. That seems fair to me. And here comes the flames. I'm ready for you.